Hey, what's going on, my beautiful people? This is Certified Life and Relationship Coach, Coach Court. In today's video, I'm going to talk to you guys about 6 things an avoidant will say that triggers anxious people. Thank you for sticking around. If this is your first time viewing me, do me a favor and join the community by clicking that subscribe button and ringing that bell so you're notified for all my newest coaching content. Before I get into the coaching content, if you guys want to get in contact with me, the quickest way is to go through my website, www.fruitfulseeds.com, either book a coaching session with me or join my Patreon or my YouTube community. Thank you guys. In today's video, I want to give you guys 6 things that an avoidant will say when they're starting to pull away, when they're starting to deactivate. And this isn't reserved for just dismissive avoidant people. Like, this can be a lot of different people, but based on the community that I built here, some of the comment sections, some of the people I've coached, my own personal experience, I want to share these things with you because I feel like if you are able to understand the triggers, if you're able to understand your triggers, if you can understand how they operate and the things that really turn them off or the things that can really, activate you, I think it's important to share this information with you guys. All right, so these aren't in order, but one of the things that they would say is, I'm fine or I'm good. Guys more like, no, I'm good. Girls will say, I'm fine when you ask them if something's going on or something's wrong. Let's say you guys had some type of dispute or you might have done something that you feel triggered them. And what I'm starting to see is a lot of the times with anxious, preoccupied people or just anxious people in general, they tend to make up these stories in their own mind about doing something wrong when actually some of the times it's not even worth even apologizing for. And I think that has something to do with the nature of the anxious, preoccupied person that tend to people please and tend to always be on people's good sides because of their fear of abandonment. They don't want to be left because of something that they may have said or something they may have done. What happens is back in the day, they may have experienced something where a person may have tried to give them reassurance and say, yeah, I'm fine and I'm good. And later on down the line, they realized that they weren't good and they actually had something that was like festering. So you want to make sure that you can be okay. If they ever said that I'm good or I'm fine, leave it at that. Try not to get triggered when they say something like I'm good, especially when, the energy shifts or they start to pull away, they stop talking as much. And it may have been after something that was like a really triggering conversation, or they may have had a problem with you and you said, all right, well, I'll correct it or I'll do what I need to do to make this work. And then later on down the line, you start to see that, well, this person's acting different. And you ask them, they say, I'm good. So try not to buy too much into it, because usually what happens is they let that time pass. And they'll be able to come back around and come back, like I say, the turtle tends to come back out of the shell eventually, and then you can talk about it. But usually when they say I'm fine or I'm good, it's more like, all right, I just don't want to talk about this right now. The second thing, they may say, I'm not there yet. And this is in regards to if you guys were seeing each other for a while and you may have brought the conversation of exclusivity or what are we doing here? Is this a monogamous relationship? What's happening? Or you may have been someone that's really anxious and said, I love you, and said it a little bit too soon, a little prematurely, and they respond with, I'm not there yet, meaning, I need to take this slow. It takes a lot for me to fall in love with someone. It takes a lot for me to commit to someone. So you need to be okay with that and just let them go at their pace, especially if this is someone that you're serious about and you see a lot of good characteristics in them, and, they have a lot of the box checked that you want in a person. So when they say that I'm not there yet, that doesn't mean they won't necessarily get there. It's just that they need a lot more time to feel certain about what's going on, about the relationship that you guys have. The third thing that you might hear is they say, I feel like you're trying to change me. And this may be like a response to you trying to help them out, where you feel like you're doing something that's like constructive criticism, or you're trying to help make their life easier. If you found a quicker route to work, or if you found a diet that you feel like works good for you and it doesn't work for them, they'll say things like, I feel like you're trying to change me. If I have my Wednesday nights reserved for someone, like let's say I'm hanging out with my friends and you start to complain about it, or you start to get a little up in arms about it, that's when you'll start hearing that, like, I feel like you're trying to change, you're trying to make me into something that I'm not, or you're trying to change me and mold me into who you want me to be. And that's one thing that is really a trigger for them. They don't want to be harnessed and made into some type of project. You want to make sure that you're doing it at a pace that they feel comfortable. and they don't feel like they're changed. You want it to be their idea. Another thing that you'll hear them say is, I need some space. Now, this isn't just reserved for dismissive avoidant people. This could be someone that just doesn't feel like the relationship is working out. They're having serious reservations about you, about the relationship, the dynamic, or whatever. But if we're talking more along the lines of avoidance and things that trigger anxious, preoccupied people, is hearing that I need some space is very triggering for anxious people. Because from everything that you've heard about when people say I need space, that's kind of like the intro to a breakup. And that really drives an anxious person nuts. But the dismissive people, they will say that. They say, this is getting a little bit overwhelming. I think we just need to take a step back. We need to take things slower. But that is one thing that really will trigger an anxious person, which is I need some space. And that's not even coming from just dismissal. That's coming from everyone. So I thought that was important to put that one in there. But it's definitely not one size fit all when it comes to that. The fifth thing that they'll say is, you're a grown man, or you're a big girl. The fifth thing that you'll hear them say is, you're a big girl, or you're a big boy, you're a grown man. And that's like really triggering for an anxious, preoccupied person, because usually how anxious, preoccupied people connect and bond with people is they'll ask for advice, they'll try to get their opinion on certain things. But when you ask a dismissive person, because they don't understand that, they're not used to asking people for a lot of advice. When you ask them, they'll say something like, well, you'll figure it out. You're a big boy. There's actually a bid for a connection. And when it gets dismissed like that, it's very triggering for the anxious, preoccupied person. So that's another one that you may hear them say when you guys are having like communication issues, or when you're trying to kind of involve them more in your life. The sixth thing that they'll say, and it's definitely not last, it is, I can't give you what you need. The sixth thing that they'll say is, I can't give you what you need. Now, if you guys are new to my channel, we talk a lot about, the dynamics between the anxious and the dismissive people. And one of the things that the dismissive avoidant struggles with the most is trying to show up and feeling like they're inadequate in the relationship already. Sometimes anxious people can expect too much out of a relationship, but for the most part, dismissive people already feel as if they're not good enough in relationships, and they don't feel like they know how to show up in a relationship. So if a person is consistently coming at them with like their list of demands and some of the things that they want from them, they will start to pull away and say, I just can't give you what you need. Like, I'm not there in my life right now. I can't show up the same way that you're showing up. And this is why a lot of clients that I work with, when they do something interesting, or they do something like big, like a grand gesture or something, like come with the perfect Christmas gift they felt like, or the perfect birthday surprise, avoidance will start to feel, why can this person do this and understand how I tick and how I operate, but I can't feel that same way from them. Like I'm trying to figure this puzzle piece out. Whenever big grand gestures like that get made, that just makes them feel even more like they don't know how to function in the relationship. It makes them feel as if I just can't deliver the same level of intensity and the same level of thoughtfulness, which I have seen them do some really thoughtful gestures, but it took a lot of reflecting, a lot of like research. Like they reached out to friends to ask, what should I get them and what should I do? But for the most part, it's really tough for them to be able to show up that way. So if you found this video of any value, please click this link right here where I talk about the best strategy to re-attract an avoidant. And if you guys want to reach out to me on my other social media accounts, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, is I am Coach Court. And always remember, when you go be love, you'll never have to find it. Namaste.